Só no balanço. MF chão de avião, juntou fogo e gasolina, balançando mais que uma rede. Oi, 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 oi. Tô off pra disputa, quero ser prioridade. Quero amor inteiro, não aceite só metade. Vou te excluir se não se decidir. Vai entregar seu coração pra ele ou pra mim. Olha que fala na minha cara que não gosta do balanço. Aquele negócio a gente faz em todo canto. Vem, vem cá, cá, pra gente se amar. No balanço da rede, só tomando vento. O pé na parede só pra dar o movimento. Comigo tu viaja, com ele tu perde tempo. Fazer amor é fácil, quero ver ter sentimento. Olha no balanço da rede, só tomando vento. O pé na parede só pra cessar balanço. Comigo tu viaja, com ele tu perde tempo. Fazer amor é fácil, eu quero ver ter sentimento. Oi, 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 oi. Eu quero ouvir assim. Oi, 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 oi. Chão de avião e MF. Olha, tô off pra disputa, quero ser prioridade. Olha que eu quero amor inteiro, não aceito só metade. Vou te excluir se não se decidir. Vai entregar seu coração pra ele ou pra mim. Fala na minha cara que não gosta do balanço. Aquele negócio a gente faz em todo canto. Vem, vem, cá, cá, pra gente se amar.
And how sometimes you use too much energy and then you're a little bit empty.
O pé na parede só pra dar o movimento. Comigo tu viaja, com ele tu perde tempo. Fazer amor é fácil, eu quero ver ter sentimento. No balanço da rede, só tomando vento. O pé na parede só pra
Balanço, balanço.
Comigo tu viaja, com ele tu perde tempo. Fazer amor é fácil, eu quero ver ter sentimento. Ai, quem tem nós. Fala o nome do garoto, Matheus. Muito prazer, chão de avião, comandante. Chão de avião. Oi, 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 oi. Isso. Bru. Gil. Swing.
Mr. Vegas, topo la mascara, sexy Lunila, ai, 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 ai.
Olha só quem chegou, bebê, a tropa da Ludmilla. Hoje eu vou botar pra ferver, joga tudo nesse clima. Toma, 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 soca, dona. Toma, toma, só senta, dona. Toma, toma, só soca, dona. Toma, toma, só senta, dona. Toma, toma, só soca, dona. Toma, toma, só senta, dona. Toma, toma, só soca, dona. Toma, toma, só senta, dona. Toma, toma, toma.
One punchinela, two punchinela, three punchinela, four. Sexy Lunila, go Tatiana, back it up and the dance floor. I make it jump up, bam bam, I jump up. I make it jump, 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 make it jump up. I make it jump, 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 jump.
Let's roll.
Move your body, make me happy. Heart just keep a beat, can't stop it. Put up on the ground and whiny, whiny, wap, wap, whiny.
DJ Snake chamou Ludmilla e a putaria já tá liberada. Vem cá novinha, toda safadinha, tu ouve esse som e já fica molhada. Dá uma sentada, sentada braba. Dá uma sentada, sentada braba. Toma, 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 chuca, dona. Toma, toma, só senta, dona. Toma, toma, só chuca, dona. Toma, toma, só senta, dona. Toma, toma, só soca, dona. Toma, toma, só senta, dona. Toma, toma, só soca, dona. Toma, toma, só senta, dona. Toma, toma, toma.
Me gusta lo chulo, te gusta mi...
Eu falo, eu falo. Só interagir comigo lá no... Ô Juliano, tá me escutando aí? poder tá, pô. Não tem porque não tá escutando. Só eu tava quieto, mas...
Baixinho, que todo mundo tá dormindo, geme bem baixo. Todo mundo tá dormindo, geme bem baixo. Baixinho, que todo mundo tá dormindo, geme bem baixo. Que todo mundo tá dormindo, que todo mundo tá dormindo, geme bem baixo, geme. Que todo mundo tá dormindo, geme bem baixo. Baixinho, baixo, baixinho, baixo, baixinho.
Desce, bandidinha, tomando água, abandono. Quatro rodas, mas é de BH, carioca, de Lost Moricore, sentido RJ, comboio de xereca, que sente e depois volta, de Lost Moricore, sentido RJ, comboio de xereca, que sente e depois volta, que sente, que sente depois, desce, desce, sobe, sobe. Quer rolê de banho, papinha da glória. Desce, desce, bate e volta. Vai curtir na viagem, regaça sua chota. Desce, desce, sobe, sobe. Na volta, papinha da glória. Desce, desce, vai no bate e volta. Vai curtir na viagem, regaça sua chota. Vai curtir na viagem, regaça sua chota.
Ela gritando lacote no banco de trás. Vou devagarinho pra tu não gritar. A parada é o no pelo tu gosta na viagem. Quer bate e volta do coqueiro pré-RJ. Quer bate e volta do coqueiro pré-RJ. Lotadão de xota, bucando as marolas. Lotadão de xota, bucando as marolas.
Mano, vocês estão com problema de achar MM também? Oi? Na minha principal eu coloco aqui na partida, se procurando e não acha.
Pode ser integridade.
Oi?
Pode ser integridade. Quando eu tava com baixa integridade, tava assim também.
Mas eu não jogo por 6 meses. Como é que tu aumentou essa integridade aí?
Cara, se tá 6 meses já era pra ter aumentado sozinho.
Pois é. Parei de jogar CS pro LoL, voltei, acho que foi semana passada a jogar CS. Não acho parte do jeito. Agora nessa minha aqui, acho. Oi?
Aí é foda. Mas... tu tá com rank aí?
Nessa aqui eu tô, na outra também eu tô.
Se tivesse 100, poderia ser isso.
Na outra eu tava sem rank, procurei uma, achei 5 mil. Depois não consegui jogar mais.
Eu vou partir pros contatinhos, eu vou partir pros meus esquemas. Tem a Fernandinha Lorena, tem a Amanda, Gabi e a Milena. Voltei pra cachorrada, voltei pra putaria. Ai que saudade das piranhas do Elipa. Ai que saudade das piranhas do Elipa. Ai que saudade das piranhas do Elipa. Voltei pra cachorrada, voltei pra putaria. Ai que saudade das piranhas do Elipa. Ai que saudade das piranhas do Elipa. Ai que saudade das piranhas do Elipa. Toninho Tché e o menor da putaria. Ai que saudade.
On one side and some new young stars on the other.
There are so many reasons to think that the young guns in this matchup have this in the bag. The stats back it up. Their performances at this event back it up. They've just been hot in terms of the things they've done outside of this event. But in a match like this, like you said, Pimp, it lives a life of its own, and people don't necessarily play to the expectations that we have for them. Because the pressure is so on, that's why I think the older guard here, they have such a shot, even though maybe the tactics or the stats don't always say it. It's just that they can hold their nerve in situations like this.
I fully agree. If you look how the two teams have played the tournament so far, there's no doubt that Force has been the better team. There's no doubt that right now they have the better, I guess they have the better synergy. They have the stronger individuals. You look at the guys right here. We've been talking a lot about Sorter. We talked a lot about Shelfie and Kenzie as well, who right now is the highest rated player. A little bit going under the radar, but overall, Force has played a fantastic tournament. You look towards Imperial and you look towards the games they've played so far. The wins they've had were wins you expected outside of the Team Liquid one. That was very impressive to me. Maybe that was Liquid playing a poor game of Counter-Strike, but if you're Imperial in that game, you got to take that W and think, okay, we can beat some of the better teams here. But as you said, experience comes into play, because we also did see Force yesterday. Third deciding map against Outsiders. You could almost see it in the body language on the server. They were whiffing shots they normally don't do. They were missing utility they normally wouldn't do. Some of the players took, I would say, irrational decisions that they normally wouldn't do. So the pressure got to them yesterday. Question is, have they learned from that experience going into Imperial today? Or do Imperial, in fact, have a chance of once again applying that pressure?
There's one man in the server for Forza that has to learn from the past, and that's Jerry. At the Berlin Major 2019, he was in the exact same situation that he finds himself in today. Challenger stage, 1 BO3 away from making it to the legend spots, but he fell to Dream Eaters, a team that nobody thought they were supposed to lose to. And so Jerry right now needs to see this matchup that once again, he's coming in as the favorites in this kind of situation, and he needs to just deliver. He needs to make sure that everybody on his team, despite how many young guns he's got right there, they need to play to the level that they're used to.
Yeah, I really like that analogy coming into this one as well. Not so much because I do get a little bit of PTSD of Dream Eaters absolutely ruining my pick'ems, along with most of the Counter-Strike community back at that major. But I also think it's an interesting kind of, maybe not so much comparison, but just looking at what Jerry brings into the server in terms of the calling ability, because we saw he was able to put the pressure on against Vitality. Sure, not enough to be taking them down, but I'm wondering, going up against such a veteran lineup, is he going to be able to be applying that same pressure to them?
I think so, especially with the way they're playing Counter-Strike. The simpler, the better, you know, in a way for these guys. We talked about Mirage being one of the maps where whenever they do a 4-man Mirage mid and just have one guy in A, that's usually when it works the best for them.
Yes. Yeah. Jerry's calling style actually almost just negates any sort of experience that some of the individuals on the other team should have over him. If they move as a unit, move as a pack, which Jerry loves to do, the 4-1 style is something that he's been using for years now, then it doesn't matter if one guy is nervous in a group. As long as they all don't just drop their guns, they'll be fine. There's going to be a guy that's there for the trade.
I do like that you mentioned Kenzie when we just got to see a little bit of that, the team impact and the individual impact from the side of Forza as well, considering considering, you know, I feel like you were correct in saying he is a little bit slept on coming into this. We're kind of looking at Xiaofi to be that main star for the side of Force coming in.
Yeah, and he's played a good tournament. Also a player, when you look at his play, a guy that is not afraid to make the right play at the right moment. You know, a guy that is not afraid to risk a little bit in order to win a lot. And I like those types of players, especially when they're young. Sometimes you can blame them being a little bit inexperienced. Maybe they don't understand the consequences of the move they're doing. But you have a player who's willing to make a play that could potentially win a round instead of having a player that is playing the safe odds all the time. So for Kenzie to play a good tournament so far and to find a lot of success in these decisions is a very strong sign for Force.
One thing for at least the side of Imperial is that all of these players make strong decisions. There's so much autonomy on this roster. There's a couple different players that chime in along with Fallen to make different calls. And the thing is that Imperial like to run a default style.